All right, it's Steve here from CNS Organics. Wanted to give you an update on the hoop house build and all the grow beds going on. Let me see if I can figure this out. I'm going to turn this camera around and take a look at it, guys. I actually had my brother and a friend from work come out and help me out over the weekend, and we were able to build the other two grow beds. One of them has been leveled, as you can see. I just got clamps. I use the clamps to kind of help take care of the plastic and kind of stretch it out and get it somewhat form fit, if you will. The water itself pushes against the sides, so it gives you some ability to adjust a little bit, and you can kind of move the clamps. You can see some of them look like it's kind of tied up against the clamp, like this one here. I come across and I let this guy loose a little bit and let that kind of relax. It will end up getting pulled pretty tight and stapled down. This one over here, I have already finished that up and stapled it down and everything. I do want to check on, or I do want to mention, like I did in my previous videos, goodness gracious, there we go, that the plastic that I had picked originally that I decided not to use was the greenhouse plastic for this build. Instead I went with the cheap Home Depot stuff. I hate to throw a name out there, I'm sorry. It's probably great for a lot of things, and it'll probably last a good year, maybe 2 years. I did go back and buy the better stuff, and I do have it to where when I get ready to switch out the top. But in hindsight, I wanted to mention that it was actually a good thing. It's crazy how the Lord blesses us, and I put up the cheaper plastic, and I want to show you something. Okay, you see the rips and the tears? There's a bunch of them. We actually had a really bad hailstorm. Something that, yeah, we get a hailstorm that usually lasts, like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, something like that. It has a little pea-sized hail. We had some really big hail, and it lasted for almost an hour. I mean, it was like really bad. So it actually beat the heck out of this cheaper stuff, and I still got my more expensive actual greenhouse plastic, the good stuff. So it all kind of worked out. This one will last this year, maybe another year. I doubt it. Maybe at least this year, and I'll put on the good stuff and hope we don't have a big hailstorm. So anyways, I wanted to touch on that. I have run lights, and that brightness is crazy. There we go. Let's get on down there. Now you can see me good. I did put in some lights down the middle. I had put in a little breaker box. Nothing too fancy. All this stuff is real easy, real simple. Little light switch to control the lights. I run a separate breaker for the plugs. That's where the exhaust fans are going to go. We moved out our germination station. That's just what we kind of nicknamed it. And we've got little baby plants growing and going. We got cucumbers and all kinds of stuff, and peppers, and some of them are doing better than others, and some of them are rocking and rolling. Each one of these sheets have 200 seeds, or 200 places for seeds. So when you look at these guys, that's a lot of plants. This would be a 200. This one here would be another 200. And let's see if I can flip this guy around. Check it out here. We got some Swiss chard and kale, some spinach, cucumber. Things are going good. They actually like it outside, and I don't have to harden the plant off from going inside where we were doing it inside where it was a climate controlled area to germinate our seeds. And then you have to like basically kind of like get them used to the wind and the heat or the cold or whatever. These here, we had them started inside and we brought them outside, and I was kind of concerned, but after it's all said and done, those guys took off like a champ. They're doing great. I do want to touch on a couple other things as I'm walking down, playing with my phone. There we go, a little bit darker. All right, so like I said, this grow bed has been leveled. A friend of mine named Devin from work came and helped me out. My brother David actually came and helped me build both of these grow beds. And as you can see, this is the deck that is going to go over the sump. He also helped with the plumbing. I put in a clean out tee. Yeah, so we can get her off here. And the water is flowing down through. And this allows me to have a maintenance access to flush the system, throw a water hose or something in there, or something to kind of clean it out. It's actually underneath the ground, as you can see. Let me pull this back. The wind's fighting me. But it actually goes underneath the ground, over down into the sump tank, and so that I don't have to walk over that 3-inch piece of PVC anymore. And you're like, yeah, but now there's water in the bottom of it. Well, that's fine, because the water's gonna drain all the time. It's always gonna be moving, so it's not like it's just sitting there in the bottom. It's always gonna move. Let's see if I can do this real quick. I apologize about the camera. 1 second. So I closed up the deck that'll cover up the sump tank. This will help keep light out. It will make it so that your sump tank is not really a selling point, if you will, to how beautiful everything is when everything's growing. It's kind of one of those things that's needed, but it's not. It just basically it's the maintenance side of it. Go in there and clean out your pump, clean the screen for it, that kind of stuff. Over the weekend, like I said, we built the other 2 grow beds, and we also did some plumbing, and we also did the intake coming up in 2, so it's nice and clean. There's not a lot of stuff in the way to trip on. There's just some tools and stuff. The overflow, how you noticed in the last video, it was at an angle. This here, it goes down into underneath the deck, and from underneath the deck over into the sump. Works out great. As you can tell, this end of the greenhouse is facing the west, this greenhouse is running east and west, which is great, because here in Texas, most of our sun comes from the south. We're in the northern hemisphere. It comes from the south. So, I mean, that's great. It works out great for the plants and everything else, but I've noticed with my fish tank, which there's actually fish in there. There's not a whole lot, but there's some fish in there, that almost as soon as I added the fish, the water started getting cloudy. The enzymes on the fish and the ammonia that they put out and everything else, I had noticed that. And so probably what I'm gonna do is at this back window and that one there, I'm gonna shut the door. Up here at the top, that's where the exhaust fans are gonna go to help move some air in here. But anyways, the windows, I'm probably going to put on a dark plastic or a dark covering to reduce the light on this end. We get a lot of western sun here in Texas, and even though there's a couple of trees back there, as you can see, you can still see quite a bit of light coming to the fish tank. I know a lot of videos I've seen where they actually cover up the fish tank with like boards and foam and all kinds of stuff to kind of help eliminate that. But the fish that I'm going to be using, I've got a couple of them in there and I got some more coming out, are going to be koi, and they're beautiful, beautiful fish. So I want people to be able to come up and you know, step up, walk up on this deck and see the beautiful fish and see how it actually works, about how the water comes out of the back and it comes down and it provides all the nutrition for these grow beds. And then in turn, it comes right back down and cycles back through. And so the algae is not a big concern for me right now. Like I said, I'm gonna do something on this back end when I get the other 2 grow beds, and also when I get the plants planted in the grow beds. They're gonna take care of a lot of the nutrients that the fish are providing, so that the algae, yeah, I mean, you know, you got sun, you got water, it'll happen, but it's not going to be as fast or as much as it is now, because the plants are going to be taking up a lot of that nutrition and not leaving much, I think, for the algae. So I do have still quite a bit of stuff. This is the supply line. As I mentioned before, there'll be 3 filters in this area. So probably about where the elbow is, well, maybe a little bit down from it. It'll come up over into a filter, then to the next filter, and the next filter, and then back down to the grow bed. There'll be a T, just barely subsurface, so people don't have to step over it. That will go underneath the ground. It'll come up to this grow bed. It'll continue underground with a T and come up to this grow bed and on down, and then all the drains will come back to the sump. This is kind of a bigger system than your normal backyard system, but it's the exact same idea. If you reduced everything by, say, 50%, and you had a 500-gallon tank and a 200-gallon sump, and then these guys are only 20 foot, it's all relative, you know, and how many fish you put in there and how many plants. That's all relative. You can work out the details. So anyways, I wanted to give a big thank you to Devin that came out and helped me on this thing, to get these other 2 grow beds and all the other work he done, and this great deck people can walk on. I still got to do some trim work. I left that one board out to kind of give you a handle to pick up, and it ain't too bad to pick up for the sump tank. And also my brother David, he came out and he worked his tail off, and we got all this stuff knocked out in a weekend and built, and all the cinder blocks and the wood and all that stuff's heavy, and it's moving it from, you know, the trailer over to here, and then from there building and cutting and rocking and rolling, and it went great. So this is kind of the update here on the what I'm now calling the main hoop house, the main greenhouse, or the big greenhouse. Kind of a look from the back end. And anyways, I want to do a real quick, just like a couple minutes on some other stuff. The original greenhouse is still doing great. Check it out. It's still doing good, doing great and everything. I've actually been doing some maintenance. With all the construction on the big hoop house, and working a full-time job, I just, you know, I've only got so many hours in a day, so I can only do so much. This one here is doing good. Everything's going good. These koi over here, if you can see them, yeah, a little camera shy. Those guys will go into the big hoop house, into that 1,000-gallon fish tank. Over on this side, we've got the same stuff we've had for almost a year now. So we've got the tomatoes, we've got some okra, I believe most of jalapenos. My wife had transplanted, but we were still getting jalapenos from it. The deep water culture here, I'm actually doing a little bit of cleaning, and but we've got some squash and some cauliflower and some beans. And check this out here. This is about every day or so. I know it's not a whole lot, but these are not very big beds. And there's still a lot more that I missed. As I keep looking at it, I mean, you got you one there, and there's another one over there. I mean, there's still some more. Let's take a look and see how healthy our fish are. Hopefully this comes up good on the video. Seems like they're doing good. They're swimming around. Pretty decent sized fellas. Hopefully you guys can see that. Over here on the other system, yeah, there's the pantyhose. It works out great as kind of a screen filter. There's some guys in there, and I don't know if you can see it real good because of the light coming in from the top of the greenhouse. But the fish are doing good. I haven't lost any fish at all. Any fish at all in many, many months, maybe close to a year. The hailstorm, I do want to tell you, it really hit us hard. Let's see if, I don't know if you can see the holes, and this is the corrugated plastic. So you got holes there. You got holes over here. There's holes all in this thing that I've got to go up there and fix and tape up and everything else. So yeah, you know, I didn't do what I said I would and go with the good greenhouse plastic. I went with the cheap stuff, and then I went and I bought the good stuff. But God blesses us when we don't even know or realize, because it riddled that thing with holes. And if this hard plastic above my head got beat up and I'd bought the good stuff, it would be riddled with holes too. So it all worked out good, all worked out great. Just a quick update. I'll be trying to do more. I know it's been a little bit, but it's just, you know, there's just so many things going on, and it's trying to build and get going. So if you could, please like, share, hit the little bell. That way you get a notification whenever I get on here and act a fool or whatever it is. So anyways, please like and share, and we appreciate you guys here from Texas at CNS Organics. Goodbye.